So back in the garage, the time lapse for this video was last night, and obviously taking the engine apart. And the thumbnail is actually my premature celebration, if you want to call it that. So I don't know if you all followed me on Instagram or not, but I did post a photo of me being happy that I got the timing belt off. And just a little, hopefully short, little side story for it. But I was kind of afraid to get the timing belt off, which is why I kind of held off on the project a little bit and did a little bit of research. But I was afraid of the cam gears, the sprockets moving around. So I wanted to do as much research as I could to see whether or not it would, if I needed the cam lock tool, or if it was perfectly fine just to, take the tension off the belt and let the driver's side cam gears spin. And it took a while, but I ended up finding one video where a guy was super detailed in how he did it. And when he just loosened up the toothed pulley, not the crank pulley, but the one that's next to the water pump on the engine. He took that off, and as soon as he took it off, the tension went away, and the driver's side cam gears just kind of spun just to release the tension that they had on the springs. And obviously, kind of more important was the fact that the timing marks were matched up, and that allowed top dead center to be a thing, and the passenger side gears to be, cams to be free floating and whatnot. And so I was able to found out that I could in fact take the belt off and not have to worry about that. So I took the belt off, and then I took off all the pulleys and blah blah blah, and got super happy. So I posted the photo. I took the photo because I was super happy and I thought I had accomplished a lot of stuff. However, right after that is kind of when I realized my problem. So I was trying, so I knew I had to take the, well, I didn't know because it's been so long, but yeah, you guys are kind of getting me talking through just how much I have forgotten. So this is kind of raw. I didn't want to have anything filtered and make it look like I knew absolutely everything that I was doing. So here I am, just kind of being transparent and vulnerable for y'all. But anyway, so I got the timing belt and the pulleys off, and then I went to go look to see if I could take off the heads. And wouldn't you know it, I'm an idiot, and I forgot that there are cams in the way of the head studs. I can get one of them, that guy right there, but then there's one right there, and there's one under there, there's one there, over here, there's one under there, and then there's another one right there. So as you can see, 5 of the 6 head studs have a cam in their way. So I had to take the cam off, which required me to take the cam caps off, this, which is like a whole assembly right there, including these 4 bolts, and then obviously taking the cam sprockets off. However, when I was trying to take the cam sprockets off, I was an idiot at first and tried to do it with an impact. So yeah, call me dumb if you will, but I already know that I'm dumb after doing some more looking into it. So that obviously didn't work. So my next thing was to try and hold the cams or the sprockets in place, and doing it by hand's not possible. And then I did a little bit more research, and that's where I found the idea of strapping the timing belt around the cam sprocket and then also around the crank pulley. Well, I did that, and it kept jumping teeth, and I was like, what the heck is going on? So I did it a couple more times, and then I found another video where it talked about putting, the water pump and the toothed gear here, and, wrapping it around this, and then coming up and over the water pump underneath the toothed gear, and then around the spline, so you have some the grooves in the belt hugging the teeth of it, and then having like a really thick packet here that's vice gripped, and then vice gripping it right here so that's tight on the gear. The issue I was running into, and sorry if I'm moving the camera, I'm and not showing the visuals all that well when I'm in the midst of my talking, but concentrating on the talking and this instead of the camera. Anyway, when I did that, all this was doing was spinning as the tension got tighter and tighter. So that wasn't working, and clearly it's not working there. And then I'm going to pause really quick and show you what's happening to the socket that I'm using. So this is the socket that I happen to be using, and I'm trying to get it to where you can see what's going on. So instead of stripping the head of the bolt there, it is actually rotating the pressed in hex bit in the socket itself. So there's that. And then I was putting my full body weight on the breaker bar and like not a budge. So I decided to see what I could do, and I then remembered all the company 23 tools. I had to place an order on those. I was gonna ask a shop nearby if they by chance had any, and be audacious enough to see if I could borrow them. But I decided not, and then through more thinking, once all this is taken apart, to get the engine back into the car, I have to put it all back together, which would require me to torque down the cam gear bolts so that the cams don't come loose. And what's that going to require? Likely going to require the sprocket tools. So I decided to buy them anyway. And I know, like, after I took the timing belt off, I felt like a little bit of an idiot because I could have kept everything on here, including the timing belt, everything in time still, put the bolt back into the crank gear, and then have all the tension there, and just put a 1/2 inch breaker bar, or the wrench, or the ratchet that I have, and then use a breaker bar on the sprocket bolts. But that was hindsight 2020, so that obviously didn't happen. So on a pause. I did order them late last night. I should say early this morning at about 1, which is how long I was doing all this for, and also for the hand in the way. But I forgot to point this out. This is all that was happening with the when I was putting the ratchet on. Is every time it jumped the teeth, it was getting tighter and tighter, and it just kept putting a hole in the timing belt itself. I think that might be the only one. Nope, there we go. It's just like covered in cat litter, but got another little bit of a bite in there. So yeah, it wasn't going, and I was frustrated because the plan was for this to be taken apart last night, get a couple hours of sleep, and then take the heads and the blocks separated up to IAG and see what they had to say about it. And what's kind of getting the worst of me is I don't even know what the damage is. Obviously, there's going to be a head gasket issue, and I think because when I was rotating the other day when I was lining up the timing marks, when I was rotating the crank pulley, there was water coming out of the driver's side. So I have a feeling that both the head gaskets popped, which clearly there was a lot of pressure within the engine with the hot water. I'm telling you, I was an idiot. I let my excitement get the best of me, and I did the worst thing possible and just kept driving. So let me just disclose that I did see temps of 145 or 245. So if that gives you any insight. I was also dumb enough to be like, I think it might just be a water temp sensor issue. Obviously not the case. It was a me issue. And so yeah, that's that. But now I am just for the sprocket tools to come in, and hopefully that'll make getting these sprockets off that much easier. Based on videos I've seen and reviews, nobody else has had an issue. And because they're the hex bit inside of there, 6-side inside the head, I think I'm gonna go ahead and place an order on the 17 mil head bolts. Headed bolts for the cams. because I don't want to continuously face this struggle. And what I'm hoping also is that these things aren't Loctited. If it's blue, whatever, but with as tight as they darn are, I have a suspicion that they might be red Loctited, or I'm just super weak. And what I've done some research on, and maybe I need to do more, but is these bolts are actually torqued down to 70 foot-pounds if I'm not mistaken. And then with driving around and whatnot, they get tighter, and it can be up to 140 foot-pounds, keeping them stuck on. So I don't know. Could be that. I mean, I know I stood up on the end of the engine stand and put my full body weight on the breaker bar that I was using, and I also used the cheater bar. That there's a mess, but it's on the creeper right there. I used the cheater bar to try and get a little bit more leverage. Just nothing was happening, so I got frustrated late at night and just went to bed and ordered the parts. But anyway, that is me being transparent with y'all. I just want to let you know what's going on, and yeah, the sprocket tools are supposed to arrive on Tuesday. I've also ordered some impact grade, like one piece 10 millimeter hex sockets. So no more of the, I don't even know, no more of this guy thing going on. So with the pressed in fitting, so having the impact rated one piece, it'll be good to go. But we'll see. All I know is I want to get this thing taken apart so that I can show you and see for myself what all the damage is, get it taken up, see if I can get the engine refreshed, or if I have to buy a new short block, and hopefully the heads are all right as well. So, all right, y'all, until next time, hopefully, Tuesday I get this thing, well, if not Tuesday night, Wednesday night, I get this thing torn apart, and we'll see if I take another trip up to, or we'll see if I take that trip up to Maryland, not this weekend, but next weekend. So,
all right, then, welcome back.
So, just gonna start this off. I had a little bit of a private unboxing session. Finally got the tools that I was waiting for. We'll see how they work. And before I started the video, just kind of put them on the cam gears to see, or the cam sprockets to see how they would work. And thankfully, I got both the right tools. The exhaust tool, I think, is obviously going to work just all the way around. It's just like, I don't know, symmetric for 360 degrees, so that's good. But what I wasn't expecting, and by looking at the gear, now I can actually kind of see it, but there's a specific way the intake, the ABCS intake has to go on. So it only fits on one way, so hopefully that works. But I also, because I was using the hex bits, and I've actually got one right here. I showed this to you all in an earlier video, but I'll see if I can show you a little bit again, if that even shows up. But press-in fitting. So I had a couple of tools that I was using. I broke one of the hex bits off trying to get the transmission pin cover off, and then with trying to get the intake off of here, which these are going to become the 17 mil bolts. So I almost kind of feel foolish for getting the the solid hex keys here, but I did it just because I want to get these things off, and they weren't all that expensive. Anyway, thankfully, instead of rounding out the inside of the bolt on the cam gear itself, I was actually rotating the press-in fitting on the socket. So I was gonna go buy some more just from Lowe's and whatnot, but everything that I found was a press-in, and since that is done and toast, can't use that. And on some of the reviews of the tools, I actually saw someone point out that they were using the Sunex hex bits, and there was a lot of other videos with similar type things being used. I was gonna buy the stubby from the shorter version of this from Snap-on and all that. Just spend the extra money, buy once, cry once. But I decided to go with these. They're both Sunex. One's a 3/8 inch drive, and the other is a 1/2 inch drive. So we'll see which one. Hopefully the 1/2 inch gets the job done. I can't imagine it won't. I'm almost not wanting to try the 3/8 just because I feel like that'll be a waste of time. But either way, I'm going to be a fool right now and try just by myself to get these cam gears off. I don't think it's going to work, especially with the intake only working one way. But hey, we'll see. So here we go. And I'm back. So I apologize. Went ahead and did some work in the off camera, just because I was getting frustrated and couldn't figure things out, and so kind of went off camera to do the work behind the scenes, and had to bring in a friend because I just couldn't get the torque down. But funny enough, after I got home from an activity with friends, I just obsessive over getting this thing, and I ended up figuring out how to do it by myself. But to help me out, and as you saw, I got the company 23 cam sprocket gears, and they worked phenomenally. So I'll come back and explain this puppy later. But I ended up stripping that out. I guess you could call it quote unquote on accident. But yeah, stripped it out, so that didn't work. But that little guy actually came in handy. That 10 millimeter one piece, not press fit, one piece hex bit actually did a very good job. The cam sprocket tools actually held the stuff in place. I will admit the standard exhaust one was a little bit trickier just because it doesn't have as deep of a groove to go into, so it kind of skipped around a little bit. But with my friend here to help, he was able to push on it and make sure that it stayed there as I pried on the breaker bar. But the three other bolts came free rather easily. It was kind of a little bit scary because breaking them loose almost kind of felt like I snapped the bolt head, and that the rest of the bolt body was stuck in the cam, but wasn't the case. So anyway, the driver's side exhaust, and then driver's side exhaust, and then the two passenger side cam bolts came out great. Only because I didn't play with them all too much. The intake side over here, I tried a little bit more. Ended up rounding out the inside, and then very hastily I tried some of the twist lock sockets, and just wasn't working. But after getting done with the activity with my friends, back and did a little bit of research again, reading up on another forum, and a guy mentioned an 11/16 socket, and so I came out here, and thankfully I had one. And what he was something I didn't realize because I was in the moment and didn't think, and I haven't had to use these in a while either. A lot of this is just me coming back after years of not using anything. Anyway, I was using the 3/8 ratchet part right there, and obviously 3/8 is really small, and it was just slipping off, and I was just in a hurry to get to the activity, so I didn't really pay too much attention, and I decided to hold off. And then I was going to call a mobile welder to come weld a nut of some sort onto the top of the bolt, because I'm getting the TIC, the Turn-In Concepts bolts, with I believe they are 17 millimeter heads on them, and hex heads, I should say. But came back after the activity, and after reading that forum, and it mentioned the 11/16 twist lock, and just hammering the crap out of it onto the bolt head. So I was like, I have nothing to lose, might as well do this. He also mentioned in that the hex pattern on the outside of it that fits a 27 mil socket. Thankfully, in my impact deep sockets, I have the largest size I have is a 27 millimeter. And what I didn't show, I also used, well, hopefully this is still straight. It goes in there just fine, comes out just fine as well. But I was using the crank sprocket as leverage while I was doing this myself. So I would put the tool, as an example, onto the thing, and then, sorry, hard to do that on camera. Anyway, I would rest it in the space between the bolt and the crank gear and tighten it down so there's that little groove in there that the handle fit into, and it held it just fine and allowed me to, you know, twist it off. And so after hammering it on with a regular hammer and then a dead blow, I was like, let me give it a shot, and held. So now hopefully no more roadblocks, knock on wood. Seems like every time I make a slight bit of progress, another problem comes up. But as of right now, the biggest problem I was having is now complete. So it is late and I have some other stuff to do. So I will be back at this tomorrow, which means I should be able to get up to Maryland this weekend, or at the end of this week, and see what IAG has to say. I'm kind of scared though, because see what that looks like, and I know it's going to be bad, but I don't know how bad, and I am kind of fearful of it. I don't know about the driver's side because that's not where the water was leaking out of, but you know, out. And yeah, so now I will jump into the next day and time lapse of me tearing this engine apart. So kind of purposely teased myself as well as probably you. By the way, it is very frigid. It started out at 24 degrees in here, and thankfully the propane heater is working well. But I got the driver's side head loose. It's ready to be pulled, and I wanted to hold off on the passenger side just because I know that's where a lot of the damage is. And crazy enough, I've never seen this engine before. I've seen the pictures, but I haven't actually seen it all the way apart and whatnot. So we're about to see that for the first time together. But here we go, taking off the driver's side head. This is the side that's not, it might have some damage, I'm not 100% sure, but we'll see. And based on some water dripping out, I'm kind of scared that it might be a little bit rusted in here. So here we are. Oh, yeah. I don't think that's going to be cleaned out. Nope, and I damaged the heads by... Yeah, that's going to need some work. This is what I get for holding off for months on doing this. Dang it. Let me show you what the inside of the block looks like, and yeah, to be perfectly honest, I can't be upset. I did this to myself, and it's pretty bad in there. Yeah, well, that's just the driver's side, and the passenger side, I have a feeling, is going to be much worse. They might be able to clean this out. Let me take off the head gasket. But I don't know. The deck itself looks fine, and actually, well, based on the area that there still is around the cylinder, I might be able to, I'm going to have to get some new pistons for sure. I'm going to have to clean the heads up. Let me turn those over for y'all really quick. The head, I mean. Yeah, I don't know. Based on what I'm looking at, definitely gonna need some new valves unless they can clean these up somehow. I think the servicing might be fine, but overall, the driver's side, I would say, doesn't look all that bad. And I'm actually happy with how well the, I mean, you can't even tell that there's inserts in this, which is wild. It's pretty cool. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's still plenty of material. I'm not sure how well you can see that on camera, but I think I went with stock bore with these. So there is that. But so far, lesson learned, y'all. Do not wait months to tear your car apart. Get that ish done like immediately. All right, on to the passenger side. All right, now we've all been waiting for. Hey, I'm actually kind of nervous about this, but we gotta get it done regardless, so here we go. Ugh. Surprisingly, this side looks so, never mind. Yeah, new block on the way. Holy smokes. New head too. Look at that. That's wild. That's what you get for being an idiot. Oh boy. It looked better until I saw the bottom, which is where you can see. Let me show you just the head gasket part. Sorry, you're on a tripod right there, but you can see right there where the gasket blew. Goodness, and it melted the block, so yeah, looks like I'm gonna be spending a pretty penny. Alright, y'all, well, lesson learned from this. Do not let your block overheat. That is not good. Yikes. All right, well, as you can see, we've got the damage report, and it's not good. Hopefully I can get the driver side head just cleaned up, get a new passenger side head, and then get a new block, obviously. That's really unfortunate. Like, it's just a small little portion of it too that's gone away. But I would imagine, I'm not a professional on this, but I would imagine that they're not going to say that they can repair that. Dang. Yeah, that's all I have to say. So there's this video, the teardown of the block. Not very happy. In terms of cylinders though, it's much cleaner. Not nearly as much rust, but having that chunk of the block missing and then it being burnt out on the head as well, not bueno. So, alright, well that's it. Time to go up to IAG, see what they say, and we'll go from there. Until next time, stay driven.